Today is a very special day with a good friend and someone I know you're going to all enjoy. I see your invitation and I'll bring you right up. Hi, thanks for joining us. Just giving a second so we can actually record this. This is going to live on hashtag MSCTV, as well as thanks to all who are joining. It's also going to post immediately to IGTV. Most importantly, though, the best interviews are where you engage, send the love, send your questions. This woman has a lot of knowledge. So this is a series we're just kicking off. It's Women in Leadership. We have another interview I'm going to be doing on probeauty.org in like 3 hours from now. So make sure you catch that too. But this first interview is something I've wanted to do for a while. She is a New York native. She has been over 12 years, it's hard to believe, at Living Proof, closing the deals, managing the sales across retail and salons and, broadcast on air. She is our chief sales officer. She has launched brands, revived brands, took brands in new directions and new channels. She is the queen of developing omni-channel, hailed by many in the industry as one of the most important experts in prestige. And a fellow vegan friend of mine. So now I'm going to add you. Without further ado, there she is.
Hi. We made it.
We made it. Sorry, I yap a little at the beginning.
No, it's okay. I'm bowing to the introduction you actually gave me. Make me sound so amazing. Thank you.
Well, you are amazing, and I'm so glad we finally got a chance to do this. I know you've been working like 14-hour days, and we finally found a day that you can do. Tradition on MSCTV is we have a beverage in common, which is a beautiful rosé. How do you pronounce it? I always say it wrong. What?
Domain OTT. OTT.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. That's so me. I'm trying to make it more fancy. Ot.
It probably is like that if you're in Provence, but I can't pronounce that.
Well, cheers to our beautiful rosé.
Cheers.
To a midday rosé. Okay, so we're going to get into women and being a woman in leadership and all that good stuff. But I would like to delve into, like, we all know Michelle now. What was Michelle like when she was young? Like, let's start with, what was your favorite 80s jam? Gonna need that.
Oh, wow. There's so many of them. I had the obvious Pat Benatar stage, right, in the early 80s.
Love is a Battlefield.
Exactly. And I was definitely in the rock, sort of in the rock scene in the early 80s. And then I transitioned, into dance through Madonna, and honestly ended up a hip hop junkie. So my go-to, I remember the first hip hop song I heard. I was in sixth grade. It was Sugar Hill Gang, and I was completely hooked.
You're like, this is me.
This is me, and I'm still listening to hip hop on the daily.
So you grew up in New York,
yeah.
And one thing you said to me in our pre-interview is that you valued work over higher education. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, and it's not that I value one over the other. I think, I grew up in an environment with a family of blue collar workers. My grandmother was a manicurist. My father was a bartender. His father was a bartender. Way ahead of their time, by the way, because bartenders today make a lot more money than they did back in the day. But I got my gift of gab from them, which was great. But really, it was about working for what you wanted and what you needed. And a lot of my self-worth in my early days came from whether or not I could actually take care of myself. So there's good things about that. Obviously, for me, it's worked really great. And there's some bad things about that as well. But I think, defining your path through your experiences is really, what I hold true to myself. Like I took every opportunity I could to do better, to take a risk, to learn on my own, and just become, an expert in the fields that I felt were right for me. And
Yeah.
so, I think that everybody can become experts in one way or another, and you don't need to have a lot of means to do that. You just have to have confidence and belief in yourself, and carve your path. So.
Yeah. So as an executive woman in leadership, what got you into the beauty biz? Because I imagine you could have taken that passion anywhere, that sort of
Yep.
scrappiness, like I'm willing to work, I'm willing to learn,
Yep.
I can see
Yep.
it, I can do it. How did you find beauty, or beauty find you?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because my dream as a kid was actually, there were three close friends, myself and two others, and we had this ridiculous dream to open a bed and breakfast that had a restaurant and a daycare center. Now, that's in my yearbook from 1988, in my high school yearbook. And it sounds ridiculous, but the bed and breakfast was my part in that, because I was always attracted to the hospitality industry. And, my first, step into a career was actually in the travel industry, which is so ironic because it's pre-COVID, as you very well know. You and I have, we're Delta Diamonds since day one. So, travel's in our blood. And, in my early 20s, I worked for a travel agency, and that's really where I caught the bug. But, I ended up taking a leap of faith and just kind of going into the beauty industry in a very odd way. It's not odd for a lot of people because I started out in retail.
Yeah.
But what I learned at that time, it was this budding industry, and it was in, the mid to late 90s. There was either, going into a drugstore and getting your beauty stuff, or going into a salon and getting your hair stuff, or going into a department store. There wasn't specialty retail, and there weren't these brands everywhere that could cross over. And so I worked in retail actually for Bath and Body Works, of all places, which was a great experience. It was a huge company. I was sort of the crisis manager, if that makes sense, and it kind of does make sense, I guess.
You mean like you are now?
Yeah, kind of like I am now. I guess somehow I managed a crisis really well, and I ended up being sort of this person that would rotate through different regions and different stores to clean up the quote unquote mess that people had left behind, which was, it was really interesting. It was something that I didn't think I could do because I didn't even know where to start. But I fell into it, and, I took one step at a time, and I put one foot in front of the other, and I really was able to be successful. And then I realized that there were more brands sort of coming to this market, and Sephora came on the scene at that time. And to me, this was like, what is that? I mean, I'm wearing my Maybelline mascara, which I'm loving still to this day, the green and pink bottle. And, and this came on the scene, and it was like, just turned the world upside down. So from seeing the change in the industry, I actually made a leap to go to a really small company that nobody had ever heard of. And it's L'Occitane, which is a French company. And at that time, they really had zero presence in the US. And they were launching their stores in the US. They were launching in Sephora, one of the first brands to enter Sephora. Yeah. And they launched on QVC Beauty, which at that time was really when it started. And I was lucky enough to find someone who said, just try and figure this out. Because that's really how it started. Try and figure this out. Nobody knows what Sephora is, how to work with them. Nobody knows what QVC is. It's, in the beauty, it's really like this unknown. And, through that experience, I really became, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I became an expert in sort of the ins and outs of QVC and Sephora and specialty retail. And from there, I realized I had something, because I would hear from my colleagues at these retailers, like, this brand really needs help. I wish they had a you. And I took that, and I actually ran with it, and I left, took another leap of faith, and, consulted for a few brands, and really small startup color brands like Laura Geller. And that led me to, be able to develop and help build, some amazing brands, which obviously Living Proof is one of them. So,
so you're like, you started as the fixer, it sounds like.
The fixer, right? Yeah. Exactly.
If we go back, and this is so cool, because really our focus here is like, you know, becoming an executive, right? And like a woman in that industry, which I'm sure was twice the fight. I don't even have to ask, right? Like, because there's the suits in every job that are kind of like, oh, this is how business is done,
Yeah.
business, right?
Totally.
So I love that you're the fixer. So the ultimate fix, I was obsessed from the day the show came out. I like couldn't stand it, you know, they're playing that song and like the hairdo and he's in his Mercedes. You know what I'm going to say? Blowout, Jonathan Anton. And I didn't even know you yet, but within a few episodes, I see you like getting something called dirt, like hurled at your head or something. What? Tell us about that so you
Yeah.
can develop brands as well.
Yeah. Yes. You know, that was an experience that I wouldn't change for the world. It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But it was really like I learned so much from that experience. First, so Jonathan Anton, incredible Hollywood hairstylist for years, has his own salons, you know, was really the first person to, you know, go into this reality. He kind of built reality on Bravo, especially, and
Yeah.
with that show called Blowout, and it
Yeah.
chronicled the life in Jonathan and his salon. But what was really, really smart about that is that he was the one that really drove the idea to actually build a brand on live TV and show the product development and show how hard it is, and sitting down in meetings with Sephora and QVC, etc. So I got involved with that through word of mouth, again, because of my QVC, you know, expertise. And I started working with Jonathan, and it was really incredible because, first of all, Dirt was, I think to this day, is probably the fastest sellout that QVC has ever had.
Really?
It was
Wow.
absolutely unbelievable. It was one of the first hair brands to go into specialty retail. And that show was just really, I mean, nutty, but fun at the same time. And I got to travel, you know, around the world with him and launch and just, you know, do some really fun things that I would never have been able to do before. So, yeah, it was a crazy time, but really cool at the same time.
I like how you're so PC. It was a crazy time. Yeah. She's got no dish.
And on that note, I'm taking a sip.
We'll have a slight slip here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Part of being an executive woman is not telling everything. And so, and I know how hard QVC is, and as people know, I do QVC as well, and you've really helped coach me through that process. It's its own animal as well, right? Like, so now you're the expert there.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, so weird. And like, honestly, that has become my mantra, you know, is become an expert. Whatever you are doing, be the expert. When you walk in the room, you should be the expert of everything that you bring to the table and everything that you're responsible for, because nobody else is going to do that for you. And, you know, if you walk in with confidence and you really know your stuff, you know, there's nothing to apologize for. You know, you have that combined with your honesty and integrity. At the end of the day, you look yourself in the mirror and you're good. You've done the right thing for yourself. You've done the right thing for your business. And, you know, it's something that I really pride myself in. And you can become an expert in so many ways. I mean, think about it when we were kids, right? We had to have our Encyclopedia Britannica to find anything out. But now, I mean, you can Google anything. You can go to industry events. You can join industry outlets. You can go on YouTube and find anything and just really learn whatever it is you want to master. And it's never ending. You can always, you know, you've got something, you never stop learning. It's just a great way, because then you can continue to grow as a person, and whatever business you're in, you can continue to grow that as well.
Well, I appreciate, because as you know, that first episode, I'm with the biggest star in QVC, and they're like, don't mess it up, everything. And you feel all this pressure, and you have this way of making everything just seem easy almost, right? Like you keep your calm. Maybe you lose your calm, you just don't show it. But I think that's a big part of getting to the level where you are, is like you keep it together. So thank you for that, because there were times you're like, it's just shampoo. Just get on there and sell it. So we've talked about QVC and Sephora and retail and you know, reality shows. So cross channel, a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of women are just, starting out their careers or thinking about changing their careers.
Yeah.
So talk about this omni cross channel business, because it's really something that you've been at the crux of. I mean, you've been right there as it started. For God's sakes, you were there at the launch of Sephora. So
Yeah.
tell us more about that.
Yeah, of course. I think, now more than ever, if we think of ourselves as consumers, how do we behave? Right? We behave and we find things everywhere we go, every time we turn around. I mean, I was literally sitting on Instagram last night, and I bought 5 things from brands that, I could have bought elsewhere, but I was shopping and an ad popped up and I was like, that's cute. And I bought it. But the next time I buy it, I might go to Bloomingdale's and buy it, or TJ Maxx and buy it, So I think, we have to think of ourselves as consumers, and the best thing you can do for a brand is to have consumer demand for that brand. Because no matter what, when people are talking about your brand, they will find it, and if they see it in the place that they are going to, that's where they're going to buy it. So, you need to have a diverse group of consumers. And we know that, some people shop in places for certain things and so on and so forth, but it's really important to follow and mirror the behaviors of consumers. And also build credibility that way, because every channel plays a very important role for us and for any brand that's looking to be an omni-channel. You have your own social media and your own digital to really be the benchmark and the landing page for your brand to learn everything about your brand that is to be learned, right? That's the place where everybody should find their education, and then we have the salons, which the salons and stylists play such an important role to us, because they're the advocates, they're the experts, they're the ones that are taking care of our hair. And so when they tell you that you should be using something, you should be using that product. And it's really important to be able to have different experts talk about and drive awareness for your brand. I hear, oftentimes when I'm out touring, which unfortunately we haven't been able to be in the field in so long, and it's really, it's
I miss
tough.
everyone.
It's tough, and I can't wait to get back out there and just talk to people. I love talking to people and hearing about what's going on in their worlds, because it helps, again, thinking about going back to being an expert. It's because I try to listen to people and sometimes just shut up, But, every place plays its role. And I think the biggest thing that is the most important thing, I used to hear back in the day, and I summarize it as, everybody wants a brand that no one else carries, but everyone knows what it is. And that just doesn't exist, because in order to know a brand and recognize a brand, they have to have some nationality. They have to have some distribution. They have to have a way for consumers to discover it. And it's got to be in a lot of different places in order for that to happen. So, as we evolve into different shopping behaviors, the industry will evolve with us, but you want to make sure that you're giving everybody an even and level playing field, so that they can own their business and they can take their business and their expertise and put it into the brand.
So true. So, and by the way, put your questions in the question mark box if you can. If you put them in comments, I'll do my best to squint and read it. We have a question. So an up and coming, executive, any advice for someone who's, at that cusp of maybe getting to the next level, something she can do?
Yeah, well, I go back to what I said about being an expert, and then one thing that I think is important, anytime you're going to speak to somebody about your business, about whatever it is, think that whoever is on the other side of that conversation, imagine that's your boss's boss. That's who you're speaking to. Because if you want to make sure that you, again, know what you're talking about and can prove that you know what you're talking about with sound facts and data and industry knowledge, or whatever the industry is, right? It could be, you could be selling hammers, but you know everything about a hammer that anybody can know. You know where those hammers sell, what demographic they sell to, what color sells the most, which, is it Home Depot or Lowe's? It doesn't matter, but you present yourself as the expert, jumping one step ahead of the person that you're actually speaking to. And, and that, it's just about, and don't be afraid. I think one thing is don't be afraid, because if you're confident in the facts that you have, there's nothing to be afraid of. You have
Yeah.
your integrity, you have your honesty, and you're trying to do the best thing that you can with the information that you have.
Melissa asked, who is your biggest mentor?
Oh, that's a good one. I think I have a lot of mentors, honestly. But I will say that, I'd say the biggest impact wasn't necessarily somebody that I was reporting to.
Okay.
It comes from the people that, and I hate saying this, but the people that report to me, which is
Yeah.
so bougie of me. I hate saying like, oh, my
Bougie.
reports, my direct reports, right? So it's because my team is everything to me, and I like to challenge my team. I like to make sure that you're on my
Yeah.
team,
Yeah.
and a lot of people that are watching are also on my team, and they
Yeah.
know, if you're going to come to me with something, come to me with the information, come to me with a recommendation, and that recommendation is going to be based on your knowledge of things. And I think that's, to me, that's what's really keeps driving me on a daily basis. And there's definitely, I mean, look, Unilever Prestige is run by Vasiliki Petru, who's an amazing, amazing businesswoman. And she is just, her career is incredible. And, I follow her, and I listen to her because she's so knowledgeable. Some of my buying team, at Ulta and Sephora and our distributor partners, I mean, there's so many experts that they may not be, my boss or somebody that but they teach me so much, and it's invaluable.
Yeah. And to add to that, for women looking to get a boost of confidence, is there something they could read that you would suggest?
There's a
good
lot.
read?
Yeah, I haven't read a book through this whole quarantine, and that is so despicable. I'll be honest with you, I've been watching some really bad reality shows, and
I'm reading The Chiffon Trenches. Andre,
yeah.
have you?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I have to get back to you on that, because I think there's a lot out there. I like one of my favorite authors is Malcolm Gladwell. Anything by him I think is incredible, but there's a lot going on in the world right now, right? I mean, it's such a crazy time for us and really challenging. And I think, what we should be reading right now is some things to take care of our mental health. And, we got to get out of this, whatever that looks like on the other side of all of these terrible things that are happening in the country and the world, making sure you're taking care of yourself. So, what, I've been looking through my cookbooks and saying, oh, I'm just going to cook some amazing vegetables. And that's what's keeping me, in a good space when I turn out at the end of the day. So, but I'd say, in terms of reading, I think honestly, like getting in the industry, like PBA is a perfect example of that. The Professional Beauty Association. It's such a great organization for our stylist and distributor community that everybody should be join that, even if you're not in that. It's just learning about that. And surrounding yourself with material that, you can grow from. And I think, one thing I will say is, also don't take any crap.
You said don't take any shit in our
interview. I was like, I can't let all my queens come out of me at one time. It would be a lot. But the reality is like, you have to stand up for yourself and your convictions. And if you know what you're talking about, you shouldn't have to take any crap. And it doesn't mean to be belligerent. It just means that I'll listen, but I still believe what I'm saying is right.
Yeah.
Based on all of this.
We got the question, I feel like, right as you were getting to that, but when you were traveling, and obviously travel will one day come back, folks. Yes. I mean, but how do you balance it? How do you balance the work life? Mental.
It's not easy, but I have to tell you that travel for me, as tiring as it can be, and as poor eating habits come out when you're on the road for so long, I thrive on just energy, different types of energy, and meeting new people, and just the thrill of being on the road. So that was almost like good for my mental health, as crazy as it is, as that sounds. And, I've been doing that hardcore road warrior 2-3 weeks out of the month, every month for years. And so, for the past 3.5 months, I've been in my house with my husband. We have not spent this amount of time together ever in the history of our relationship.
Is that a good or bad thing?
It's really good because he provides me with all of the wine.
I call you Psalm 1, Psalm 2.
Psalm 1, Psalm 2. No, but you know what? Listen, it's not easy spending the time with anybody, right? But, we've learned a lot in the last 3 months, and we know exactly, we know what we like to do together, and we just focus on that. And that's, and I'm grateful every single day that I wake up and I have a great job and a great company that, I feel secure in. There's so many people that don't have that I can't possibly look and say, I have anything to complain about. I'm just so grateful for everything.
And I think what I heard right there was you love being gone a lot, right? So that so you women out there who are contemplating this kind of career, you might just have to love it, right?
100%,
because you're gaining mental health from that.
Absolutely. You know what? It is absolutely true, because there are plenty of people that I know that just, it's not right. And that's okay. It's not right for everybody, and realizing that is really important, and admitting that is really important, because then it allows you to take a different path. You don't have to be stuck. You don't ever think you're stuck. And whatever that is, it's, you have choices, and you can.
I do feel stuck in the house, though. So
that is a whole different thing. We unfortunately, might be stuck a little bit longer if things don't, if we don't listen to the scientists.
So speaking of these challenging times, what are you doing at Living Proof to sort of navigate these rough waters?
Yeah, well, it's been, since the COVID happened in mid-March. We all thought we were going to be home for 2 weeks. We all thought, in 2 weeks from now, everything's going to be back to normal. And 2 weeks later, another 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, another 2 weeks. So we've done every, scenario planning like every other brand has done. But, for me, again, it gets back to my team. Like, I just want to make sure everybody's okay through this. And I'm really proud to be part of Living Proof, because it's something that, as a company, we take so seriously. In this time, all salons closed, all Sephora stores closed, all Ulta stores closed. And we didn't furlough or lay off not one employee. And we have people that service, 25% of our company services stores that were closed. And, to be able to do that has been incredible. So, I want to, I try to, I want to be there for my team. I don't want to be adding to anyone's stress. We all have stresses that we deal with, at the end of the day, I'll talk about what those stresses are with my husband or burn it off somehow, but I don't want to bring my team into that stress. I want to make sure that they're comfortable. But, business is really, it's a challenging time, but you have to kind of see what's working. So, for us, it's come back to the essentials, right? We're a trusted brand that has some really trusted products, and that's what's selling. Our shampoos, our conditioners, and of course, dry shampoo. And
number one in the world.
Right? For so long, people haven't been able to see their stylist. I haven't seen my stylist since, I think, March 1st. And I have an appointment, and I got to be honest with you, she's amazing, because this is this is a long time that I haven't had my hair done. And so shout out to Allie in Brooklyn. I love you. And I'll see you in July 30th. But, really, those trusted products and trusted brands and things that people want to spend their money on because they know it works. That's what people are buying. And so, we're able to, the word of the year is pivot, right? So we were able to sort of recognize what we needed to shut off and slow down to focus on what we know is working. And the reality is it was all about what can we do to keep our people whole and make sure that we come out of this in a good position. And when I say our people, I mean our employees, I mean our salon distributor partners. We worked with them on, making sure that they were taken care of during this time as well. You know, we were able to donate money to the PBA disaster relief to help directly support stylists in their times of need. So, you know, that's what you kind of have to find a way to do. And I feel really blessed that we are able to do it, because I know that not every brand has been able to do that. So
yeah, and thank you for joining, Tabitha. You're one of my favorite life coaches to that question we just asked. So let's talk trends in the beauty industry. You are one of the biggest beauty junkies I've ever met. Like, I can't even imagine what that closet looks like unless you just purge monthly to like friends and relatives.
I do.
Tell us what's coming. Like, and it can be hair, it can be any, it can be lipstick, it can be anything.
Yeah. So here's what I think from a hair perspective. The trends that are happening now about being able to have beautiful hair that lasts is not changing. Beautiful, healthy hair that lasts. Salons are opening now and super exciting, but there's a lot of limitations. Social distancing creates its own challenges that, you know, you don't really have the time that you want to spend with every client that you have. You know, there's staggered hours. There's just so many challenges. So what you want to offer your clients is the best hair. They walk out of there with the best hair and the products that they need to keep their hair looking great for a long period of time, right? And we have, you know, our healthy hair molecule, which does that, you know. So I think the trends are really going to be about treatment and making sure your color looks great and your hair is healthy throughout those off down periods. So it's going to be more, you know, not really maybe styling your hair as much, but really focusing on the health of your hair.
Health of your hair and hair that lasts.
And then, exactly. And natural, whatever that means. I mean, my hair is clearly natural.
So natural.
But I haven't washed my hair since Sunday. So, you know, to me, that's natural. I do it once and I'm good, you know? So
we've toured Europe together. I know we can both go 10 days without shampoo.
10 days, exactly, without it. Sounds, you know, anybody not in this industry, I tell to, they're like, ew. But then I'm like, no, you don't know what you're missing. You know, and then I think there's a lot of trends outside of hair, which are really exciting. You know, I think for skin, it's all about, again, protection of your skin, whatever, you know, from the sun, from pollution. You know, we're wearing masks. You want to make sure that you're taking care of your skin. Contact dermatitis happens, and also you can't see your lipstick, right? So so you want your eyes to pop, which, by the way, I'm not wearing mascara. I haven't not worn mascara for this amount of time since 1985. So this was a big, bold statement for me to not wear mascara on a live Instagram post.
I love it. You don't need it. It's very, I like it. It's very Gwyneth Paltrow. It's
thank you so much. I'll take
it's very clean.
I discovered some new skin brands, but one of my favorite products, I'll just tell you, is a brand called Shani Darden, and it's a retinol product. She's a retinol expert, and love her product. So
okay, I'll tell Dustin. He works closely with her.
Oh, good. Okay,
great. I can get us some, I think. So now we're to the fun part, folks. It's called This or That, and I'd like people to play along. Send us hearts when you agree with the answer. And also, I want to know, would you choose the 80s or 90s? It's this or that. So 80s or 90s music?
80s.
80s. And then I'm going to need one favorite 80s song, and I'm going to ask everybody watching to send their favorite 80s song. You only get one. Mine's Tainted Love, Soft Cell.
Okay, I'm going to go with Lucky Star, Madonna.
Oh, Lucky Star. It's a good one, a classic.
Yeah.
Hot tub or hot spring?
Hot spring. Hot tub is like a germ bag.
Gross.
Germ soup.
Bacteria farm. Art festivals or music festivals?
Music festivals.
Phone calls or text messages?
Text messages.
Classical art or modern art?
Well, how about mid-century?
Very. I know. How many people live in a Frank Lloyd Wright? I'm obsessed. Okay. Netflix or theater?
Netflix.
Right? I knew that was coming. So scripted or reality?
Well, if I'm watching by myself, it's reality. If I'm watching with my husband, it's scripted.
Okay. So you're going to go with the both. Let's see. New York, and then I decided to be rude and say, or Napa Valley.
Okay.
I couldn't say LA.
I can buy Napa wines in New York. So I'm going to go with New York.
So we got your answer. Red or white?
Both.
Both.
All of the above.
Bali or Mexico?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with Mexico. Mexico has my heart. Mexico, I love everything about Mexico. Oh, Vegas. I saw Vegas.
People
somebody knows me well.
New York in Vegas? No. Dress up or dress down?
Oh, that's it.
You're kind of in the middle, aren't you?
I am in the middle. You know my style. You know my style, I think, better than anyone, including myself, because I always feel like I don't have a style. And you're like, no, you love these boxy, like almost Japanese style things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
so
it's Japanese.
I like, how about business comfortable?
Business comfortable.
Whatever that means.
How about bags or shoes?
Oh, shoes.
Shoes. Facials or fillers?
Oh, facials.
Yeah, you haven't done any, right?
I haven't done anything yet.
You're still free of.
Free of.
Rather take a train or a plane?
Definitely a plane. I mean, I grew up on the subway, but that didn't treat me so well. I'll say plane.
Heart or mind?
Oh, I'm going to go with mind.
Yeah. And then pink or blue?
Oh, pink. Pink.
She's a pink, but I see you in this blue, which is part of your style a lot.
Yes, I do like a French blue. I do.
Nice
it goes
blue.
very well with pink.
Drive or Uber?
Oh, well, since I moved to the burbs recently.
You drive?
I drive.
Oh my God.
You know, don't tell the neighbors, but I do drive. I would prefer an Uber, but I called an Uber to my house, and the only Uber was 27 minutes away, and they never found my house. So
forget it.
But I prefer to be driven, if that's easier.
Alone or in the crowd?
Oh, alone in the crowd.
Alone in your own head?
That's a thing. That's a real thing.
Swimming in the ocean or cocktail by the pool?
Oh, how about a cocktail in the ocean? I've done that. I have pictures with my wine in the ocean.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, folks, this is how you become an executive woman, by creating your own lane, clearly.
Thank
you. Mullet or mohawk for the hairdressers watching?
Oh, mullet.
Right.
Absolutely. You can do a lot of fun things with mullet.
Riches or experiences?
Experiences, for sure.
And final question, between two heartthrobs, LL Cool J or Tupac?
Tupac. Even though, listen, LL Cool J is from Queens. I grew up in Queens. I love LL. Ladies love Cool J. I love him. But Tupac, well, if you said Tupac or Biggie, it'd be Biggie. So I'll take Tupac.
I got it wrong. I mean, Tupac's gorgeous. So, I mean, there's that.
He spits some good lyrics, too, there.
Michelle, do you have any final thoughts for us as we wrap up our interview?
Yeah, I think, to anybody that's seeing this, I think, we're going through some really tough times right now. And you and I, in this time we've had together, and always when we talk, we laugh, we find the moments. And, between the virus and, the racial injustice that's happening and the police brutality and really just some awful things that are happening, find the moments of joy. Just find it. If it's a second in the bathroom by yourself, just get in your own head, and sometimes get out of your own head. And you'll wake up tomorrow, and we're going to do it all again, and we'll get through this. But find that joy, because it's not going to find you. So
can't do any better than that. Find the joy, folks. Send your hearts if you agree. Also, as you know, I put on my other hat for probeauty.org. So it's Pro Beauty Association today. In 2 hours, Michelle O'Connor, an incredible woman, started in ballet, 4 Nahas in 2 years. So make sure you check that out, everyone. You've been a lovely guest, Michelle.
Well, thank you. You've been an amazing host. Thank you so much.